VP people.
We are your hosts, Taylor and
Enrico.
This is Unfiltered Conversations
Global.
where we have the conversations that you want to have,
But you don't.
we have the conversations that you should have,
But you don't.
and the conversations that you overall just avoid. So jump in with us today for this episode of
Unfiltered Conversations Global.
Is VP people.
What up, peeps?
How have you been?
I have been well. I hope you guys have been well. We're glad to have you guys back for another episode.
Yeah.
It's my co-host, Eric, and I'm Taylor. Or
Fundi.
You're calling me Fund. Okay. So he's
Fundi
essentially
wangu.
calling me a seamstress in Swahili. It's been a little bit. We've had some action throughout the country, a lot of different things going on, but we're really happy to be back and together. I have even traveled the world. And
Yeah,
come back.
you've been moving around the world.
And your life has changed with being a father a little bit longer now.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had some big stuff happen. But as two men today, we want to talk a little bit about some awesome things. And one of those things is like becoming a man, like rite of passage, becoming a man kind of thing that we really want to dive in today. So I want to jump in
Yes, you
and
need to
ask
jump
you
in.
questions about Kenya.
You want to ask me questions
Yes,
about
because I
Kenya?
think Kenya, I don't think Kenyans appreciate how kind of exciting, or exotic is a good word, that the Kenyan rite of passage for men is. That's becoming a man. So in Kenya, you're born
Yes.
and you're not circumcised right away. You're circumcised at a specific age. So tell us about this process. If you want to use your personal story, great. If you kind of want to stay away from that because it makes it whatever, sawa. But so tell us, Kenyan rite of passage. Pretty much all the tribes have one, right?
Yeah, pretty much all the tribes have one. Let me go back. We are like about 43 tribes in Kenya.
Does that include Wazungu?
Yeah, Wazungu is the 44th.
Now Wahindi?
No, Wahindi is the 43. Now, literally, they became the 43 tribe.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you didn't even... Did you hear him? He said we have 43 tribes in Kenya. Mzungus, even though they are not a tribe. Wazungu, even though they're not a tribe.
No,
So,
you're the 44th.
continue.
At least, but when we do the next constitution, at least we're going to include you as the 40th.
You guys rewrite your constitution.
No, we have to go for a referendum for that to happen. But I don't think, because like we really have a new one which has not yet fully been used well. So we need that one used well.
To slide into something a little different, I learned recently that essentially the Kenyan government passed this new constitution,
Yes.
and that, but in parts. So they didn't approve specific parts that required accountability for the government.
Yes. They.
So literally, like,
I think where the problem was, the people who were elected, those people were against the constitution. There are people who did not want this new constitution. So you see, like, it becomes a bit hard for them to go ahead and...
for them to do what they're hired to do.
They hired to
That's
do
like
it.
saying it's hard for a waitress to bring you the food.
Yeah.
That you have paid her to bring.
Yeah. Literally, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
But like, that's politics. Let's leave. Politics is interesting in Kenya. So, and you know,
It's interesting everywhere. It's
you've
just
been-
like for Westerners, like looking at Kenya, the way that you have blended like the U.S. Constitution and in some parts from England is fascinating.
Yeah.
And then you add in the tribal aspect, and it just makes it so much more fascinating. Anyway, I don't have it figured out. I've been here for 3.5 years, been looking at it, and I don't have it figured out. I have to ask lots of questions when I think I know something. I don't at all. Like so, it's anyway. So rite of passage. Back to you, Bona.
Yeah, I was talking about the 43 tribes and the 44th, which is you. So, and they're all different. They're all very unique. And I'll pick like three main one, because like some tradition really like just cut across some, which is an interesting bit. Like we are similar in
So if you
in an
pick
in-
three,
in an
you
in-
actually cover like
in an interesting
them.
way, because
Okay.
like the most unique one are for Maasai's, and you've got the central, the Gema, which includes the Kikuyu, Kamba, Ameru, all those people, and then you've got the western side, and then you've got the one from the Luo Nyanza, which is different. They literally don't circumcise, but they do something really different.
So in Kenya, the main part of what you're talking about is that when you're coming to be a man, you are circumcised.
Yeah,
How old
that
is it?
used to be?
How old is this practice? Like, is it pre-colonial?
Yeah, it is pre-colonial.
Okay.
It is pre-colonial because that's how, because that used to some tribe it used to involve even women. FGM, which was like declared not to be a really good thing by the World Health Organization. You remember? And
Because the difference is?
Yeah. The difference with that, it's interesting. That one is a bit. It's a bit interesting, if I may say. Like, I don't want to put the graphic.
Yeah, so they essentially remove
information out.
the pleasure center for the lady.
Yeah,
so
it's removed.
So now,
which does not really
intercourse is just a task.
It doesn't make sense because, but they were doing that to make a lady loyal.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I talked to Mzee from one of the tribes, Maasai.
Yeah.
And he was saying it because they're not going to be looking out and trying to find somebody else.
Yeah, I learned that when I was in school because my tribe was not practicing that, and I learned that while I was in school, and it was a practice that was done in the Maasai culture, and it was done in the northern part of Kenya.
Not in Kikuyu or Kamba or.
No, Kikuyu Kambas never used to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, but the northern part and the Maasai, the river, the plain Nilotes, they're usually called like that. The plain Nilotes used to practice that. A big chunk of the plain Nilotes used to practice that.
Hold up a second. But then there's the whole practice of the spear outside of the house. So I don't get it.
Now
because loyalty, it's like you want your wife to be loyal, but built inside of your culture, is this practice of like drop a spear and your lady's getting handled by somebody else.
That was for the age, the peers, the age group, like the group that could be.
So I don't know if you guys know this one. So in the Maasai tribe, or back in the day, or whenever, maybe even now, I'm not sure. But what I've heard, understand, this is a new person to the country telling you this, and I'm telling you this because it was a piece of his missing information for me, and for many of our viewers, it will be as well. Whereas many Kenyans will just understand it. So if you come home as a man and there is a spear planted outside of your house, that means that one of your age mates, so one of the guys that you went through circumcision with, is having his way with your lady, and that you need to wait. And it's okay. It's not like he comes out and then you fight him. It's like he comes out and he has done something that's part of your culture.
You have to figure out where you're going to sleep.
So for me, this doesn't jive with the FJM practice.
It did not. Like, that was a bit confusing.
You want her to be loyal.
Yeah.
But then you're okay if your age mates are there. So it's like you want her to be loyal within your age mate. I'm telling you, there's things I just don't understand.
Wife sharing was a thing in Africa in many tribes, and it was practiced differently with many tribes.
On what makes it okay or when it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was practiced. So with Maasai, if you were circumcised at the same time, so meaning you're of the same age group. So meaning those people, like if you visited their home and you put a spear in front of the house, you'll have a good time with the other person's wife.
Okay, so that's a part of...
And I know that really, 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 really disturbed you, and you're like...
Because I was just like, what?
Is sharing caring?
It was just... Because then that creates all sort of like, who can you date problems.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't know whose kid that is, especially back in the day.
And
you
that's
can
why
find
kids,
out now.
kids used to belong to the society.
Yeah.
Like everyone was a
Whee!
father.
Okay. Anyway,
And
so,
everyone will discount the
continue.
kid.
I
Yes.
wanted to get that in there and explain
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah. So now this was through circumcision. Like when you were circumcised, then you were believed to be a man. But that culture has been eroded massively.
But circumcision, just to jump onto your process and fill in gaps, circumcision is not you just go to the hospital and get.
Yep.
Back in the day and even now,
Yeah, back in the day and even now, I'm saying it has been eroded because like in the past it used to be practiced properly.
how so?
Nowadays, like
What is the proper practice?
you will involve the elders of a community. You'll go to the forest. Like for me, I went to the forest, and you'll be taught on how you should behave as a man, how you should become a man, what you need to do, what you don't need to do. So like those are things that you're being
Cultural
taught.
stuff, but then also like the practical of like, this
Yes.
is how you consummate your marriage. This is how you.
Yes.
This is how you actually do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Now you
So
see,
it's-
like
it's that whole talk.
that whole talk. Now you are taught, like you're taught on how like you can survive with your family in case of a famine, all those kind of things. Like those
It's like a survival course, a cultural manhood course,
Yes.
and a biology course.
Yes.
And how long is the process?
For the Luya tribe, it takes like about a month before you graduate from the forest.
So you literally
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. For the Maasai as well, it takes a month before you graduate. And with the Maasai, like it involved now killing the lion, the moran, which was also stopped because of now
Population.
population of animal.
We have
and-
1 million guys this year. Where are
Yes.
the 1 million lions?
Yes, now you see now that used to be a problem as
Yeah.
well. So that culture had to be interfered with because of now the increase of population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, cultures adapt all the time.
Yeah,
all
true.
the time. So
Yeah,
it's
true.
just an adaptation that had to be made. So do
And-
you know what they do now?
Like now they don't do that. They still do now the Moran still do the age group thing. They go to the forest, they get circumcised, they do some of their things in the forest. Now it's more of a dummy of doing a lion. Like they're allowed to go in the savannas and interact with the wild animal, but they do not kill them.
Okay.
They do not kill them because like now if they continued killing them, I don't think we'll be having lions that you guys will
sure.
you guys will be enjoying.
You guys, what do you mean by you? What do you mean, you people? That Wazungu come to see.
Yeah.
They saw it on the TV. Now they want to pay and come and see. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
You see, like now we need those lions so that you can come and see them.
We need those lions so we can get your money.
Yeah, you can get your money. You see, like it's a win-win situation. Like you see, most
It's
of
that tribe. That tribe. We need that tribe to give.
we need that tribe to give money. But like anyway, nowadays also the Kenyans have embraced like going to
Yeah, for sure.
safaris and all those
You go
things.
to any of the national parks and you'll see lots of Kenyans driving around.
Yeah.
And seeing their own country, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
oh,
which
it's
is-
so beautiful.
Yeah, which is really good.
I took some of the guys that I worked with from the street to the Masai Mara.
Yeah.
And it was one of the coolest experiences to just sit in the back of the van and watch them all like get to see something that's been in their back door their whole life. But because of difficulties, like they weren't able to. So that was it was very beautiful. I've seen my kids like doing it with my kids and them seeing for the first time. But you have these young men, you know, that have gone through this. Anyway, sorry.
We also thank you, the 44th tribe. There are things that you help us handle. So thank you for the money that you bring in the economy.
Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
then again, those people aren't part of the tribe. The 44th tribe are the people living here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But they still go.
Yeah, they still
They still go. So
They still
the
go
thanks
there.
applies to all of them.
they enjoy. They still go and yeah. So like now let's go to this. Now let's go back to this rite of passage. Like now I'll use an example that I went through, and I'll use an example of friends
Yeah, perfect.
That went through, those that are Maasais, those that are Kikuyus, and those that are Luos, because those are literally the main differences in those, because the rest is almost similar. Like Luya
Yeah, so
Kikuyu
he's
almost,
named like three of the biggest tribes. You have
Yes.
Maasai, you have the Kikuyu, and you have the Luo.
yeah,
They're huge. They're large populations. Even in the election time, those are big focused tribes.
Yes.
If you can get votes for them or allegiance from them, that's very good.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that the practices of those three, kind of like we talked about earlier, they kind of cover everything else, even though there's going to be minor differences.
Yes.
Cool.
They cover everything, because like you see, like now you're looking at the Luyas, you're looking at the Kikuyus, all of them are Bantus. They literally practice the same thing, but like slightly different. Probably the only difference will be at what age. With Kikuyu, probably when they get to teenage, like 13, is when now they go through that rite of passage.
Is it age focused or is it like body focused? Like you have armpit hair, and your voice has changed. Is that part of it at all? Or is it age?
It's age focused.
Ah, okay.
It's
so
age focused.
even if you have a late bloomer,
Even if you have a late one,
he goes.
he goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he goes, because like when you're not circumcised, you are also viewed differently in the
Yeah,
society.
you're a child.
Yeah, you're not. There are things that if you don't do in the society, you're viewed to not have matured. That's circumcision. Another thing is marriage. So those are the things that literally make you like a man in an African society or a Kenyan society. So now these tribes, what happens to these tribes? Like for me, let now take my story. It is good to speak about my story rather than someone else's stories. For me, I think it was done a bit early to me because I did not understand what I was going to do. So it was...
Kwa nini mapema?
I don't know why my folks decided to do it that early, because like I would have appreciated it more. I would have embraced it more if I was a bit older,
Yeah.
because I will understand most of the things that I was being taught.
Because you were how old? If I can ask.
I was like about 7 years old when I went to the forest.
But typically people are? But typically guys are how old?
Like teenage when you're
13,
getting
14.
like 13, 14, you're heading towards your youth as well. You understand? All that from 13 all the way to your youth. You see, it's because people in the African culture they maintain the culture on how they used to do. Like in the past, people never used to go to school, go to university. So like after that, like you were considered ready to.
You would have been working with your dad.
Yeah,
You're
working with your
doing
dad,
whatever
your
he's been doing.
grandfather. You're doing whatever they are doing.
And now you've learned their trade, you're
Yeah.
circumcised, you're ready to be married.
Yeah.
If you
Because
can
like
pay the dowry.
immediately you get circumcised, like you're supposed to move out of your father's home.
Yeah, so this is part of the process too. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So at that age now, for me, I was lied to. In fact, like that time, I don't know why I was so fascinated with college when I was growing up. Like when I was a small kid, and then I used to see now my big cousins going to college, university. So that used to fascinate me. Like now, and my uncle is the one that was in charge of this, and they lied to me and my cousin that we were heading to college.
Well, I mean, technically,
Yeah.
you were heading to college, just not as soon as you thought.
Yeah, true.
But no, I get it.
Yeah, so we were heading to college, and I thought, okay, we were so excited because we were told to pack our clothes and all those kind of things, and we packed our clothes, and
So you said bye to your mom thinking that you were like going to get circumcised and then going to college.
yes. I didn't have even the idea of circumcision.
I know,
around
and
it.
you're and you're 7.
Yeah, I'm
So
7,
like
and I'm
you're
thinking,
saying bye to mom, like, all right,
Yeah.
mom, I'm going to be a man. Like, oh man, this is so very interesting.
So it was interesting. So we go, Now, for me, I'm born in Nairobi. I've grown in Nairobi.
Born town.
Yeah. Now, for you to go for this circumcision process, you have to go back to the village.
For one process, some people will just go to the hospital, right?
Yeah, some people.
But
Most people nowadays go to the hospital. Even during my generation, like
It was
quite
shifting.
quite a lot of people were going to the hospital, so it was shifting. And now, mine was unique because it was a mix of Christian practice and tradition. I did not do the pure tradition. It was a mix of tradition
Yeah.
and Christianity. Because now, that time is when the missionaries had really, really taken over big parts of
Taken
Kenya.
over.
Taken over big parts of Kenya,
Yeah.
and they were spreading the gospel. And some of the practices that were being done, that were being corrected, the way people... Now, the medicine aspect was introduced. Because like in the past now, there was no medicine aspect.
So they would just, in the past, they
Yeah.
would just pack mud
Yeah, they will
to
pack
like
mud.
cool it down, to like
Yeah.
make you numb.
Yes.
And then apply
Yeah.
what?
There's a traditional leaf that like next time I'll carry it. Like for viewers who are interested in it, next time I'll carry it. That leaf, if you put it on your skin, it makes you go numb.
Kind of like if you guys have ever dabbled in the potions of essential oils, it's like
Yeah.
clove,
Yes.
where you put it on there and it literally just,
Yeah.
it numbs.
Yeah, it numbs you.
So you would apply those all over,
Yeah, they'll just apply on your private.
just
part.
the whole area down there.
Yeah, the whole area down there.
Okay.
And yeah, after that, you'll go through the
The knife, so they come with the
Yes.
knife, they cut, and you're not allowed to cry
Yeah.
or flinch. You literally just have to sit there.
Yeah. Now, in the part
And if
of-
you cry,
there was a fine.
there's a fine. I've also heard that you would be mocked.
Yeah, you'll be
Like-
mocked. You'll be weak. You're considered weak. Now that was now in the larger Western, the Luya tribe.
Further west.
Now, and this is specifically the part from the Webuye, the Bungomas, the Bukusu sub tribe of the Luya that practiced that. And it used to be done publicly, and
The whole village would come.
yeah, the whole village will come.
Like the book, I read it in college.
Yes.
Nguthong? Or that one.
Ngugi Wathiongo.
Yes, that one. Say it again.
Yes, Ngugi Wathiongo.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, and he's written quite a lot of things. Like if you're looking for a book to read on African rite of passage, he's one author that you can really look at his work.
Now, say the name slowly. Say the name of that book slowly.
Ngugi Wathiongo, the rite of passage.
Okay, now
Yes.
spell it.
Yes.
We'll put it in the comments below.
We'll put it in the comment
Yeah.
below. So now this has happened. I'm heading to college. 1 minute.
Hold on. I have a question.
Yes.
So, like, if you flinched and you were, because, like, most men are probably thinking, apart from the culture,
It's a
like,
painful
like,
process, by the way.
I don't know that I could not do that. Okay, so what would happen? Okay, they would mock me. Would I be able to put an end to that mockery by fighting somebody? Like if somebody is like, "Oh, you're weak," you flinched during the cutting, and then I'm like, "Okay, fight me."
No,
Okay, fight me. 3 or 4 guys say that. Does it stop being said?
that now became an embarrassing thing more towards the family, and that will go for quite a
dang.
while until someone comes and redeem that.
How?
Another person in the family redeems that.
Oh, by going through the
By
process
going
without
through the
flinching.
process again.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So like
Here's
that-
this individualistic thinker thinking about it, and
Yeah.
back to the family. You have
Yeah.
shamed your family by
yeah.
flinching.
So
Wow.
there's no fighting to redeem yourself. That's your reputation for quite a while. That person that cried,
I think
that person that flinched.
I think I would, if it was me, I think I would just, obviously with my Western mind talking about this
Yeah.
African practice.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would fight every person that said anything about it every time, so that somebody would they would stop saying it.
But you're small. How will you fight those older guys?
I didn't say I would win.
They'll beat you.
I just said I would fight. So then if somebody said it, they knew, okay, what's coming next? I have to fight. So if they don't want to fight, they won't say it.
But when they beat you, they'll continue mocking you because you.
And tell. But you have to understand, if you keep fighting, you get better.
How? How?
Because you learn. You're like, oh, when this guy, when
So
he
who are
moved
you
like
fighting?
that.
So who are you fighting?
Anyone that's saying it.
So who are you fighting?
Anyone that is saying it. And it's going to be older guys. Yeah, they'll kick the crap out of you.
You've got a wrestling mentality, but that's not how it works. It will not work like that. You'll get beaten because you're tiny. You're small.
I know. What I'm saying is that you get beaten. You get beaten. But people, it still takes energy and it still takes a fight to beat me.
Yes.
If I don't want to fight you because I'm not feeling like it, then I won't say it, because I know if I say it, then the fight will be there.
Yeah.
So that would be my approach. And even if I lost, they would have to go through the whole process of fighting me. And eventually, I would become a very good fighter because I fought a lot of fights. I may have lost many fights, but I would learn all the tricks. Like, oh, when this guy drops his shoulder like this, or when he shuffles this way, or I can see all these things that before knocked me out and put me down. But now,
if life was being switched, I think I would love to switch that and see how you'll become the first to do that. So which will be interesting.
No.
I don't think there's anyone who's tried that.
But then again, that's a individualistic Western thinking.
Yeah, true.
You keep losing fights doesn't just draw shame to you;
Yeah.
it draws shame to your family. So
Yeah,
you're making it worse.
Even worse.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've corrected myself.
So like, where were we? The last question was like, yeah.
Yeah. So you were moving on.
Yeah, I was moving on. Now, from Nairobi to the village. And this village, what I remember vividly was we were in a church, in a big hall, where we were very many young men. Now, the pastor preached, because now the tradition that I told you, it was mixed with Christianity. Now, we are still practicing tradition that is mixed with Christianity. Now, but there's this other group that is doing the still pure traditional.
With sacrifices to these gods or whatever.
With all those kind of things. Like, now, us, we were called the group that we were called the Wasomi. Wasomi means those who've learned. Those who've learned. And then those other ones were called the Wamasero, meaning those who are still indigenous. So you understand?
The old school.
The old school now.
The old school
now,
and the learned.
Yeah, the old school and the learned. Now we started now having the separation in that. Now this was due to the mix of the missionaries and the culture.
Yeah, and when people became Christian,
yes,
it's like they still have this, I think, important practice of like, I want to demonstrate, and I want my kids to demonstrate that they have made this transition into manhood.
Yeah.
But I can't obviously sacrifice to these old gods.
Yes.
So even like, as a believer, it's like, okay, what do I get rid of out of that? Yes. To still be able to celebrate in a way that brings glory to God, as opposed to bring glory to this demon or this other god situation.
Yeah.
And, we do that in our lives. You can see that the West has done that even with like Christmas, like Rome, they married those two things so that Christians could be celebrating at the same time as these pagan religions. And so they cut out all of the things and they celebrated differently, but they still celebrated. So it's, even inherently when people change their belief and there are those things that conflict, they'll want to get rid of them and still be able to celebrate or have that rite of passage. So it's a bit nuanced.
Yes. So that's really what happened. Now we're in this big hall, and then we were there for like about 2 days. Now being taught. Now the realities now started kicking in. Like, this is really not college. There's something else that is happening to me.
Oh, so when you said bye to your mom, you literally thought you were just going to college.
Yeah, I thought I was going to college.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood that.
Yeah,
wow.
I thought I was going to college.
So like
And I
2
was-
days and these guys are talking, you're like,
Now, yeah, what they're saying is something different now. They're talking about being a man. They're talking about taking care of a home. They're preaching around that. So now reality started hitting. Okay, now. And then now they started talking about circumcision, the Jewish way, and all those kind of things. So, and then we were there for like 2 days. And then the third day was
were you,
the
what
D-Day.
what were you eating?
We were eating just normal food. We were like, a group of people, like when you are very many days now.
Giant pot of ugali.
Giant pot of ugali.
They flip it
There's-
over and just
there's
take a handful.
Beans, and you call it something like I've eaten it at your place. It's a similar thing. It's but they don't do it the way you do it. Like you
Yeah,
call it
it's
chili.
not it's not chili.
Yeah,
it's,
you call it chili, but it is similar thing. It's like when you say
Githeri.
chili. Yeah, it's githeri.
Yeah,
Githeri
yeah.
is similar to chili.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Many Americans at least will, when I say chili, they'll relate to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like now those kind of food are the one that you are fed, because that one is easy to cook and you can feed.
A lot of people. It's the same with chili. Like
Yeah.
chili, you can make a giant batch.
Yeah.
Like the other day when you guys were over with all the other dudes, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're having chili.
Yeah.
Because we can make a ton of it.
Yeah, true.
Really easily. So
Yeah.
okay, you guys just
So-
eat normal kind of foods. There's not any ritual or anything around
Yeah,
the food.
there's no
Okay.
ritual, so and all those things. Now, now the circumcision has to be done very early in the morning. I don't know. It's because of the weather, the numbness. I don't know.
The mud is cold.
Yeah. So but they have to do that. Like, but for us, like now we were doing like us. They did not do the knife. They did the blade. These surgical blades.
It was a scalpel type thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
the scalpel type of things. In the morning,
Lakini,
Guys are stripping naked.
when you come to Kenya and you go to the Kiro shops, right, and you're kind of shopping for things, you'll see these knives that are inside of wooden sheaths,
yes.
right? That's a circumcision knife.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think most any Westerner knows what they're buying when they buy one of those knives.
No, but you
That-
can use it for many things.
Yeah,
You can
but-
still use it for protection.
For sure. Like, it will go into somebody and come out, no problem. But the design, people
Yeah.
recognize it as it's a
Yeah.
circumcision knife.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Anyway, so they didn't use that to use the.
They didn't use that on my part because, like, now with this one now, the learned one. Yeah, now me, I'm on this group of the learned one now. It means they're trying to use. Everyone need to have their own blade and all those things. But in the traditional one, the knife used to be one. They use it across to
Would they wash?
like
At all? Or was it
they'll-
just-
they'll wash it for just hygiene sake. In the morning now, everyone is stripped naked. Like now, we've walked towards the forest.
When you say everyone, you mean the boys that are
The
getting
boys
circumcised
that were getting circumcised.
are the men that
the
are.
boys.
Okay, the men
Yeah.
who are there, they're not.
No, the ones that
naked.
were doing the circumcision, they had their clothes.
Okay,
And
and then
now the boys who are being circumcised now, we were stripped naked. Like this is now in the forest.
now, when you say strip naked, did they just tell you to take off their clothes, or did they come and?
No, they told us to take off our clothes.
Okay,
Now it
okay.
was more of like
Yeah.
an agreement. Like you have to take off your clothes.
And
It's
when
like
I forgot to ask a question. When you're in the church for those 2 days, you obviously have. Is it a pastor or is it an elder that is doing the talking, or both?
they were both.
And so you would have the person speaking, and then you would have older guys kind of in the wings.
Yeah,
or,
the
or
older
sitting
guys
around.
were there, and elder brothers were there. Like it's a journey that like people from the family, like male, like for us,
They all come.
female were not allowed.
Yeah,
in
for sure.
that-
For sure.
In that, but with Kikuyu, it's different. Like after they are circumcised, their sisters can still visit them in their small, secluded home. For them, they normally come home immediately. Yeah, the producer can confirm that. So they normally come home almost immediately.
And isn't it is it Kikuyu that it's like when it's like there's a presentation, after the boys have been circumcised, or is it same in other ones where then you come out to the community? And the community like greets you as a man.
Yes, but like it happens to everyone. But like with now the Luyas, the Kalenjins, now after a month is when they visit you. Now is when you interact.
Because you have all of that other stuff to learn too.
Now you're welcome to the society now as a man.
And remind us your tribe.
I'm Luya.
Luya. Okay, so you're there 2 days. You're naked, walking through the forest.
Yeah, and now that's the time like we are naked, like we are many kids. Oh.
How many? When you say many, like 100 or like 30 or 5?
We were like many. We were like about 1,000 of us.
Shut up.
Yeah, we were like about 1,000 of us.
That is not what I have been envisioning this whole story.
Yeah.
1,000.
Yes.
I've been thinking like, there's like 30.
Yeah.
45.
And according to our tradition, it happens every 5 years.
I've heard 3, but okay.
Yeah,
So 5, 3, okay.
Yeah, it happened after every 5 years. And that's why you see like many traditional oriented people like now will wait for that particular period and take their kids. Like
1,000.
We were like about 1,000 with like now we were of different groups and set. Like we were spread across the forest with the different leadership.
And so I'm just picturing you have 1,000 kids, and then they all have a family member or multiple.
Yes.
So this could be up to 10,000 people. This could be easily 5,000 people.
It's big. It's usually big.
Dude,
like
I have got to go see this process. Like this absolutely fascinates me because we'll get into the American side of it in a bit.
So the next one probably like we can go and visit with you, and because it's still practiced. Yeah, we can go visit and you can see what happened during this particular time.
Maybe I'll take my son.
Maybe.
People would flip out. Are you kidding me? What?
Maybe. Because like even Kenyans now, that practice has reduced.
So is it still 1,000 if you go to a thing today? Is it still 1,000?
Because you see, like there are those people who've been born in the village, and that's what they believe. And the people who've changed that are more of the town born, and
born town.
Those that have been in cities, those I think they've changed. They've become more westernized.
Corrupted.
Not corrupted. I wouldn't say corrupted. They've like you allow everyone to choose their path.
Yeah, for sure.
And they've chosen. They've read about many cultures.
You said westernized, but I'm telling you, many people are going to hear corrupted in that. Yeah, people are making their choice to begin to change their culture, which it's like, how else? I mean, cultures don't remain the same; they're always changing. But people will see it as a very big negative to be picking from other cultures, and so that's why I say that.
But sometimes you can pick something that is good from a different.
For sure, yeah, I know. But some people, they don't see that. They see that the best way to remain is pure.
Yeah,
unaltered ever.
Even in this aspect of circumcision, I think there are things that I think I would pick from that I think were really good, and if that was just polished a bit, it would be better. Yeah.
And which is your prerogative as a man and a participant in the culture and as a father.
Yeah. So now that happened, we were like 1,000 people. Now screams. Now that's what now scared me, like, because like now there's a kid.
Yeah. The scream scared you, not the knifing.
Yeah, the guys were screaming, man.
It was the screaming, not the actual cutting. No, Habana. I'm being cut. I'm screaming.
And I remember I was with my cousin, and I was like, "We will not cry. We will not cry. We are strong." And our uncle was just encouraging us.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't worry. After this, you're going to, like now, you're being promised gifts and all those things now. That excites you as well, because you're young. Those things do excite you. When you promise your son something, you know, they'll be like, they will be so happy. They'll be thinking about what you've promised them, and they'll be looking forward to doing that thing that you told them to do so that you can give them the gift. So the same thing, the same mentality, like with my cousin, and we were there, we were just on the same. But like, oh boy, it got to our turn, and it was painful.
Who went first? You or your cousin?
Yeah. We were literally, it happened to us almost at the same time. Because
Okay.
like there were a number of guys who were circumcising guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not just like one.
No, it's not one person. Like they're different. Like there's a group of guys. 1,000 people. You can't do it alone, man.
I know, but you said you broke up into groups. Let's say it's
Yeah.
groups of 50.
Now,
So
yes.
and so in that group of 50, you're going to have 3 or 4 elders that they're all cutting.
no, there are more than 3. There were more than 3.
Okay.
Because like I remember, like at the same period, like we were held like about 10 kids at a go. Like there were 10 guys who were circumcised. Yeah, no,
Okay.
like with this one they were doing keenly. It was more of an operation that was a bit painful, but yeah, it was not a bit painful. I think that it was painful.
Yeah, don't say
Yeah,
a bit.
it
Like,
was
Juana, you're not
painful.
lying to any of us here. You're not convincing us.
It was.
So there's 10 dudes. Now, are these guys special people in the community, or are they just like, okay, your uncle came, okay, so you can do one this time. You can be cutting
they're
this time.
specialized. They are
okay.
specialized people in
Okay.
doing that. They are taken through some kind of training.
Yeah. They maybe
Yeah,
they've
and-
apprenticed. They've observed
yeah.
so many times. They've
And you'll find that there are these old men in the society that have been doing that for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, they were not young people.
Yeah. Okay.
They were these older guys who've been doing this for a period of time.
Wazee wanakuja.
Wazee wa boma. So that happens. That's done. Of course, cried. I cannot lie that I didn't cry. Cried, man.
Oh, in the comments, begin to mock him for crying. You're weak. And then you can fight them.
I cried, oh my! And my cousin was crying there, and I was like, oh, it was hilarious. By the way, we cried, and
So you both was like, and you together just
screamed.
and now, okay, so that happens. You, whatever, however they do it. With it.
Yes.
And then, are you allowed to like run away, or do you have to like just move and step over and just cry, or do you run into the water?
No,
or-
after they finish, you stop crying. After they finish, you just stop crying.
So it's only during the cutting that you cried.
It's painful.
Still impressive. That
Yeah.
is still impressive to me.
It's painful.
So,
Yeah.
no. I'm telling you, most of the men that are probably listening to this, not Kenyan, would go, and they would be crying
And then-
for a long time afterwards, especially at 7. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you cry, and then
It's done.
yeah, it's done.
And then, so you move from the cutting, and
Now
then
you're taught on how to hold it, so that you know the worst thing is, you know, you still have bleeds.
Yeah, and
Is
you still have to-
when it sticks on the side.
yes.
Oh my days! That is the most painful thing that you can experience.
Because it's tearing off of being up against your leg.
Yes.
So do they? There's no wrapping. There's no bandage or anything. It's just open air. Let it heal.
Yeah, open air, let it heal. Now
Wow.
there's a way you were taught to hold it. Like for us, it was more like a pencil. Like it has to be straight like this. It's your problem if it goes on the side.
Yeah.
Because you see, it's bleeding, and if raw blood goes on your side, if you become a bit lax and it goes on the side and it sticks.
And then it hardens.
Yeah.
Like it turns to a scab
Yes.
on the leg, and then you have to tear it off.
Ah, yes.
I know this is probably a little much for some people.
Yes.
But this is part of. I mean, this is reality, right?
This is
I mean, this is not
reality.
some story.
Yeah.
This is reality for many Kenyan men that have boys that go into being a man.
Yeah.
And then so that's day 3, and then
Yeah.
walk us through the rest of the month.
Now that happens, and then now your group. I remember my group was called Bosnia. You're normally given a name.
It's called what?
Bosnia,
Like the country.
like the country Bosnia.
Okay, so you're.
My group was like, now if someone who's from that age said called Bosnia, they'll just know this was my age
mate.
mate.
All 1,000 of those boys.
Yeah.
Bosnia.
Yeah, they'll know that.
Any Bosnians in the
no,
group?
Not 1,000 of them. like now we were divided. Like now we were divided into 100. Like the 100 was my group was there. 100 that was called Bosnia.
Okay.
The other one
Any
was-
Bosnians, write in below,
there's-
whether country or age mates.
Yeah. So now we get into the forest. When we get into there's a thatched kind of a house that is built that is almost like a hall.
With the stones and the mud and then the...
There's no stone. It's done with a maize. The maize, what are they called? Maize, the maize
husks.
corn things they
Yeah,
have.
the stalks. Okay.
Yeah, the stalks. Yeah, it's done by those. Temporarily.
Okay.
It's something like if a wild animal was to come, it would just run straight into it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it is not something permanent. Like it is properly living in the forest. There's nothing. There's no cement. There's no tiles. There's nothing. It's mud, and then you put like a sack down. And then like some slept on the sack, some were given these small tiny mattresses. Because now you stay there now during, you live there for a period of 1 month. Now they teach you on, now.
And everyone's
is when
sleeping on their backs.
Everyone is sleeping on their back, like
With
now
their
you
legs
sleep
wide open.
With your legs wide open.
Yeah.
with your right hand or your left hand. Mostly it was the left
Okay,
hand.
so you literally... Okay.
Yeah, you're taught on how to hold
it.
so that it doesn't.
And how many days did you need to do that for?
Like every day you're holding it.
Not for a month, Bwana. It's healed before then.
Yeah, it normally get healed like after like about 2 weeks is when like you stop bleeding. But like now, see, we are the learned one. Like there's this powder that they used to put on you so that like it can kill germs. And
No
all
infection.
those-
And antiseptic powder.
Septic powder.
Like if you watch a war movie and some
Yes.
guy gets shot, they come in, they sprinkle.
Yes. Now,
Or is that coagulant?
something like that. It was raw, as in it was really.
Okay.
It was.
Okay, so day 4.
Yeah.
You're in your...
Now, day 4. Now, in the community, like now, for my tribe, girls used to bring food. Like we were fed well during that 1 month stay in the forest. We were really fed well.
And the ladies that did this, was it just a catering company they hired, or was it...
There's no catering company like food.
It's like, there's no catering company, you idiot. So it's just like your cousin or your sister or whatever would jump into this group. Now, would they bring stuff specifically to you, or would they just bring it to the community?
They make food in the house and they bring it to the community, and all of us share whatever has been brought.
So
now,
if somebody has terrible sarcoma, you don't get stuck with it. You just avoid that one.
You not like you see now they serve you now. If like sometimes like porridge used to be one of the things. Like in the morning we will take porridge. There's tea time. There's now the normal meal time. Like we could do like about how many? Like that's porridge at 6. At 10 we take tea. At noon we take lunch. At 4 we take some tea. In the evening at 6 we take now dinner. Now they used to be different. Like there were like each and every day there was something different for certain meals. Like there was a balanced diet. I remember there was a balanced diet. Like now they cook. Like for example, they know they've got like they have 2 boys in the forest. Now they'll cook food. Now the girls will bring them. There's a place where they stop. They never interacted with us. We never saw anyone from the outside. Like there was no lady that we saw until the day we came outside. But like before we come out of there's a night of party where girls come and dance. Like and then before that day that we are released, and then we meet the entire community. Now we are allowed to see women. Women will come now, do some dance.
Is it like just a traditional kind of dance, or is it like a sensual type of thing?
It's essential type of things. You know, culture. Most cultures were really essential, man. They were like, those were the things that they used to do most. So now we are in the forest for this period. Now here we are taught many things. Now here is when the man, being a man lesson begin. You are taught on how to be able, in case of anything that happens in the society, you know how to get the certain rats that are eaten in the forest, the certain animals, rodent animals that are eaten in the forest. You get to understand them,
How to catch them and
how
prepare
to
them.
catch them, how
Okay.
to make the traps. Now, don't worry. If you're with me, like, we can survive.
Sawa.
We can survive. You'll not die of anger. We will survive.
Nitakukupiga.
So we are taught on how to do that. We were taught on how to take care of a family, how to consummate marriages. Those were the things. But you see now, for me, why that was not really necessary for me at that particular stage was because I was too young.
You were 7.
Yeah, I was really young.
And that is also, that's an outlier.
Yes.
Like, that's not normative in
Yes.
Kenyan culture.
Yeah.
It's almost always going to be that older age.
Yeah, you need to be teenager, at least teenager youth. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like even at 7, I'm not coming back to live in my own home, in my own house, my own small, we call it Simba, like your independent home. So I'm not doing that because I'm still young. So you understand? So that was the negative bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a 7-year-old teaching them about sex, not really the
I wonder what the thinking was.
yeah, not really an ideal thing. Because I even did not, I was not relating to that. I was not really.
And your
relating
cousin that
to
went as well, he was...
He was young. He was. We were almost of the same age. Yeah, he was 1 year older than me. So you could not relate with that because there were older guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were older guys who that made sense, and after that they were going straight into like probably going to their own small houses, and probably some were marrying. So you see, that made more sense. Now you were taught on how to avoid certain things. Like, for example, if food dropped down, you should not pick it. That was more to do with hygiene, which was a good thing. All those things. Now, that was it for the specific part of the Luya side that I come from. You know, Luya is almost like a country as well. There are like about 18 sub-tribes in it that speak the same language that if you're not keen enough, you cannot be able to understand another person, but they are all one tribe. Now, that's for the Luya. I think I've answered your question in that part. Now, we go to the Luos who now, their circumcision was more in the form of removing the teeth.
Shut up, for real?
Yes. Now, that was their form of circumcision. But later on, when I was learning about this, I came to realize there was some disease that used to infect that side of area that practice began from. That's what when they
would circumcise, they
Yeah.
kept getting infected.
not
and
really normal circumcision. For them, they were removing 6 teeth, literally.
Oh, and
That
that was getting
was their
infection.
circumcision.
But what I'm asking is, which one was causing infection? The teeth or circumcision?
No. Like, you see, for the longest, we knew that's how they used to do their circumcision. For the longest. But I was really... Because it didn't make sense to me.
6 teeth?
6 teeth that are not weak. 6 teeth that are... It's like someone plucking your teeth out. It's like torture.
Dude!
And I think next time...
I think I would rather go through the Kikuyu or the Luya than the Luo. My goodness, that would be
That was painful.
incredible.
That was painful. And that was their form of circumcision. And I know next time we're sitting here, we'll be sitting with a Luo, and they'll be able to explain this in detail.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to tell us. But like, I tried doing my research around it and was trying to figure out why will they do that. And then I remember I did not know the specific disease that was was common in that area. There was a disease that was very common in that area. If those teeth were not removed, then those kids will die.
Interesting.
Yeah, those kids will die. So it will be good. I don't know if most of them know about it. But like it will be a very interesting topic. Like when we're talking now with experts on that particular
the
issue.
specific tribe.
Yeah,
So
and then
that's Luo.
Yeah, that's Luo.
That's Luo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said Maasai.
And then you've got the Maasai. Now the Maasai are the one that now are getting into groups of Morans. I know many of the 44th tribes have read quite a lot about the Maasais. And
So what's a Moran?
now that was the age group of the group. The Morans were those guys who were circumcised at the same
Okay.
time.
Would they also get a name?
Yeah,
Okay.
they get their name now. They were given Morans, and now those who were killing lions now were called the Morans. Now that means they were just from circumcision, and one of their passage of right was to kill a lion as a group.
But also survive in the wilderness alone, right?
Yes.
They would send them out.
Yes,
For how long?
a month as well.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, a month as well.
And if they don't come back?
Now, it means you're not a man enough. you could
You
not-
died as a child. Oh my goodness.
You're not able to protect yourself.
Hey.
You're not able to protect yourself at all. So now you see, but like you see, there's similar type of, their circumcision was similar like the everyone else. Like it's just now you're taught about that. You immediately you're done with your circumcision. Now you come and get married. Those were the things that used to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, but nowadays that's different. That's really not the rite of passage.
It's still practiced by some.
Yeah, it's
but
still
the
practiced by
majority
some.
is hospital type situation.
The majority is hospital now.
But there's still
yeah.
it's still a thing, even
It's
though
still a thing.
The process has changed and the advising has changed.
Yeah.
It still marks a transition for a
Yeah.
boy to a man.
Yeah.
But
and
but
mostly those who are in the village and in the rural area still practice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how they've been living, and that's the way they know. You see, like now, the people who've been a bit modernized now, they take the process of the hospital that is less painful. You see, many medicines have been discovered where they reduce the pain and all those kind of things. So
Better than
those
the
are
mud.
things that do happen at this particular time. So, but like, it's an interesting culture. So we are talking about the rite of passage in Africa, and mainly it involves circumcision. But I think nowadays it involves quite a lot of things now for you to be considered a man.
Yeah, well, I know in the West, I should say in America, in the Midwest in America, actually I think in the West in general, there isn't something like that.
Yes, you guys go.
There's some things that we associate that we kind of put along the way, that it's like, you need to be doing these things, and on initial assessment, then you're considered a man. But it's definitely never like celebrated the same way here, like where the whole community comes together. There's some things you had mentioned earlier, like before we started the show, you had mentioned like graduating high school,
Yeah.
those type of things, like where I would say hard times for expectations that begin to shift from childhood to manhood. High school would be one of them.
Yeah.
But then again, you can drop out and do your own thing, and people will still consider you a man, right? But the typical is that you have these things where where people will begin to assume different behavior from you. And I think one of those is graduating high school. Definitely one would be graduating college, but graduating high school, but then also living on your own. That's why in America it is so peculiar. Oh my gosh, my wife is going to die laughing because this is a word. The word peculiar, it throws me off all the time, and my wife will watch this and laugh. My kids will as well. My goodness. So it's peculiar for
Peculiar. Peculiar.
peculiar
Yes.
for in particular a man to be living at home with his parents at the age of 23, 25, 27, 29. It's very like what's wrong? They say failure to launch. You know, it's even a movie. That this person, why are you not essentially accepting this responsibility to go be providing for yourself? Now, there are valid answers to that. Like I never, when I was young, accepted that cultural pressure as something that would necessitate my change just to alleviate that cultural pressure. Because I was like, if I'm going to college and I'm not married, I can save way more money.
Yes.
I could save money for a down payment on a house just by living with my parents. That would be, so that to me was a valid answer to that question that people would have. Like,
that would be cool.
Why are you still living with your parents? Well, it's so that I can save that $600, $700, $800 a month that I would normally spend on rent, so that when I find a lady that I want to marry, I can buy her a nice ring right away, right when I know that she's the one, and I can have a down payment on a house. So like, even when people are outside of the norm,
that stabilizes you.
yeah, but like so, but the expectation
Is
that
different.
within that rate. And I don't mean like you graduate high school, you move out. I mean you graduate high school, and it's like, what are you doing? Are you finding a career? Are you finding a job? You're going to college. What is pulling you out of your parents' house and helping you to demonstrate to us, society in general, that you are owning responsibility? Thus, and then parents or women observe, he can take the responsibility of a wife and children because he's demonstrated that this way. Now, I've got some situations that I've looked at in my social circles where I've said, and even mine, because I look back and I was like, I wasn't living on my own as in college, and then I would go home for the summers, right? But I had demonstrated the ability to be able to hit the work hard and take care of expenses, take care of things that needed to be taken care of. And so to me, when I look at it, that's what I'm looking for. I don't necessarily look for, are you living on your own? Okay, then you've stepped into this manhood. It's like, are you seeing the responsibility that is yours? Are you owning it?
Yeah.
And are you thinking through the situation? Because you could see somebody who felt the cultural pressure, moved out, blew all that money on rent all the time, and now doesn't have money to buy a ring. Like, that wasn't really wise maybe for that person. But it definitely helped maybe the person that he wants to marry see that, okay, he's ready. Like, I can come underneath and be inside of his family because he's demonstrated that responsibility. And I think ultimately there are a lot of smaller things in the West maybe that lead someone to understand someone as a man. And I don't think it's better. I think that time of saying, we as a community, we as a family recognize you are in a different place and we expect differently from you. And we have taken the time to train you. Because those conversations that you're talking about, many of them are not had by parents in the U.S.
Yeah, but for me, like, those conversations were really good. You know, that culture was good if it was just followed through well, because like there were quite a lot of lessons that were being taught there.
Yeah.
The community was involved in your in your life, as in many, and I think there is where we go wrong as a society, where we just abolish everything that was really good. That really,
because it's tradition.
Yeah,
like,
because,
let's get rid of tradition because it's cool to get rid of tradition.
Yeah, and some of the practice that we pick are really not the best practice, because like there was an aspect of community. People were looking forward into getting into this rite of passage period. It was a cool thing, and it's something that we would have highlighted, and I'm very sure some of the Western culture would have picked it. Because it was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Imagine like going into a forest and learning those exotic things.
Yeah.
That are
that they seem exotic, but if anything ever happens, it's like, no, it's not exotic. It's essential.
It's essential for you to survive, and it brings the community together. It brings the social aspect of humanity, as in it enables us have a good life of taking care of one another.
And I think you're kind of articulating the failure that exists in both. And really, as Christians, I would label what we're talking about as discipleship.
Yeah.
You have these conversations, and then you continue being connected in that person's life. Hey, you remember how we talked about how you treat a woman, right? Yeah. Well, I saw the way that you were speaking to your wife the other day, and man, it sure looked like you were tearing her down and demeaning her. You remember that's not right.
Yeah.
We talked about that in our culture. We talked about that in the Bible.
And people,
that person can then say to him, like with authority, you have to stop.
Yes.
It's not just some random dude. This is a guy who initiated me into manhood.
Yeah.
And he's telling me, knock that crap off.
You're doing wrong. And they will literally get involved in your life.
Yeah. To me, there is so much beauty in that. Because, when I was thinking about there's so much beauty in that continual education from the elders, which Paul talks about, and being educated and being taught by the older men. But there's also that, like you're talking about those exotic things, right?
Yes.
Well, imagine if you're driving Western, or actually in any country, driving anywhere where you're outside the city. Your worry level is mitigated because it's like, if something happens, I know how to take care of us for a few days. If we're on a blocked passage going through the Colorado Rockies, or we're up in a very remote part of Western where if your car breaks down, you just days before somebody comes past. It's like, I know. We'll be okay. It will suck, but we'll be fine. Like there's a peace that as a man has, he's able to provide and protect because he's been trained to provide and protect.
Yes.
And it's like when you don't have that, it's like your level of provision and protection is diminished.
And for me, I normally think like some of those things. Okay, like now for me going there at age 7, now you try as much as possible not to get someone there at age 7. They're supposed to be now a threshold. You see, you improve on those many things because like we keep on talking about men mentoring other men. It is the core. That was a really good place for men being mentored.
I don't think you can understate this. Like some people might be like, they might throw up in arms about this. It's the core of society.
Yeah.
Are men, I should say, are good men mentoring young men into being good men.
Yes.
If that doesn't exist, the society will begin to collapse, decay, deteriorate, all these terrible things. There's that saying, good men make good times. Good times, no.
Good men make...
I changed it a bit.
Yeah.
It's strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make bad times. Bad times make strong men. And there's a part of that you're looking at strength and manliness there almost exclusively, but it's like I think there's an element of goodness there as well. That good men will create those good times. It's not just a strength thing where you're strong. It's like you have that integrity and you're passing that integrity on. And when that is interrupted, and you are no longer training up good men, it's going to destroy the society slowly. Because those good men have put in structures. But you will eat them away over time.
And you see what was emphasized during that particular time was providence of your family as a man. Was taking care of your family. Was not having a lazy affair as a man. Because you see,
what do you mean lazy affair?
Like you find like you're there, but you see like a culture nowadays. I'm not despising where women take charge in family sometimes, where like they become the breadwinners in the family because the society has changed. But you see, in this particular period, even if the woman is bringing that, you are taught on how to improve and make good of what really existed in the home. Like now you are taught on providence, you're taught on taking care, you're taught not, I remember we were being taught not to be abusive to our women when that time
Like
comes.
beating.
You understand? And those were the positive things because of the mix of the Christianity and the culture that came in. Now they tried ironing it out, and if for many years they would have ironed it out, I think it would have been a very good platform of all men to go through.
We'll have to look at doing that. I think it's something that we don't have to just let die.
Yeah.
But man,
And people need, sometimes people might dismiss these things, but like sometimes if you go and just visit these places and just get to understand what they're teaching.
100%. Like I want to go.
What they're showing. And then like next time we're having a podcast, you'll be like, Eric, you lied here. This is really not what I expected. And you'll be so surprised that they are trying to nurture men into the society.
Which, and it's like, but it's not just a Western thing. It's like, it's long game.
Yes.
It's not just now, and there's that point where it's like, we have those different expectations, but then it's like, as time goes on, the old men die.
Yeah.
And now you are the keeper of everything that they taught you.
Yes.
And if you have not demonstrated, or if you have not done the proper thing of owning responsibility, then you're going to be a terrible keeper, and that's going to fall away.
Yeah, because because you do not know how to do it. No one has taught you on how to do it. It's like for example, I'm Luya. When we were growing up, I was never taught Luya I blame it on my parents because I cannot speak Luya.
Yeah. No, I tell any of my friends, no, you teach them your tribal language for sure.
I cannot speak it. And me speaking it, like now the confusion comes to now the political aspect in Kenya. I'm not saying I need to know Luya so that I can align politically with the Luyas. You understand?
Yeah.
I need to know it to understand.
It's part of your culture.
To understand the culture,
and
even teach them. Like now I'm married to a Kikuyu. It is beautiful if our daughter understood both Kikuyu and Luya and knew the difference in culture and how we did things during those things. But like, I'm born in town. I do not.
Lakini bwana, you're still able.
Yeah, I'm still able.
Sasa.
I normally learn. I try learning the cultural things, and of course I've talked about my traditional wedding, and those were unique things to me, and it's a beautiful thing for people to come together, and that should not die.
Agreed. There's this the early missionaries, part of, they came with lots of vigor and passion and desire for people to know Christ, but then they also, there was a marriage between what they understood. This is what Christianity looks like. But they didn't understand that this is what Christianity looks like. This is what following God looks like in my culture. That added statement was lost for a long time. So people, many missionaries would come and they would attach a lot of their culture to Christianity. So when you became a Christian, you had to become more Western.
Yes, which I think there's where we lost quite a lot of things.
Yes, and it's not necessary. And I think that, like, I love the diversity in cultures, and I think that God does too. That's why He brought many of them out the way He has.
Yeah.
And I hate to see the death of these cultures and it become more and more monoculture across the world. It's like, no. I want to be able to walk in Kenya and see that's a Luya.
Yeah.
That's a Kikuyu. And not just because their facial structure looks slightly different and I can pick up on it, but because the way that they walk or the things that they're carrying or the way that they're dressing or the wives, the way that the wives are interacting with them. Like there's so much beauty in that.
Yeah.
That I think each of them are able to point to God in a different way. And the same thing with these different rites of passage that each of them emphasize and show something different that God is desiring men to be.
Yes.
The ability for a man to stand while something that many associate with his manhood
Yeah.
is cut and inflicted pain upon. And he is supposed to stand and bear it and work through it and move on. That's significant. That is a level of and a kind of strength that is good for a man to have. And then
agree.
and that man going through that, then it's almost like this thing that we jokingly associate with manhood. It's like, no, it was cut and I'm still a man. It was cut and I didn't flinch, meaning my manhood was not taken away because of something that happened there. It's like in this process, it's affirming that manhood is not there. Manhood is here.
Yeah, true.
It's your heart. It's the way that you carry yourself, and it's the way that you are, not that I had this thing cut.
Yeah, true.
And
I agree to that.
And so I think as we're looking at these, like I would very much encourage dads out there to do something similar to this. Like I plan very much, like there's a couple of things I'm going to be progressively going through with my kids. And one of them, especially with my sons, is like, one, teaching them how to fight, obviously, but teaching them bad things. And I don't mean like this is how you do bad things, but I mean like I'm going to teach them curse words myself. So then they have the responsibility to have been given the power of these curse words or these words that are not good or things that are inappropriate. And they have the responsibility to leave them there. Don't use them. I have given them to you so that you know, and you're not alarmed by, you're not disgusted by, you're not thrown off, you're not appalled when somebody else says them. It's like, no, I've got those words. I know what they mean. I don't use them. And I'm not condemning you for using them, but they're just here. And starting that process of giving that responsibility to my kids, and I would encourage other fathers to do the same. Not necessarily the same thing I'm doing, but give responsibility to your kids progressively. And I plan, I don't know yet because my son is years away from it, for that to be that point, something to mirror. In the West, we circumcise at babies. If like there's a push against circumcision now, but most people circumcised, literally the kid is born within the first couple of days.
It's not very painful.
No, they scream, but it's a baby. They're always screaming, so it kind of just puts it all in one time, and
they heal faster though.
Yeah, and there's research about doing it on the seventh day, and there's a release of a chemical in the body that dulls pain during that day, and that's why the Jews did it on the seventh day, and that's why they're advised by God, whatever. But we do it when they're babies, and so it then falls more inherently upon us to establish something outside of that for the adoption into manhood. But I think that recognition that you are a man now, but then also that unloading of responsibility onto the kid of other things is an important part of that manhood. And you see that mirrored in your guys' process, in the African process, because you go away, you learn these things. When you come back to the community, no, you can't even live in your mom's house.
That's true.
You build this small thing outside your house. That's where you live, because you've now accepted a responsibility of your own, not your mom's, not your dad's.
Yeah, true.
So this is a big topic, and I mean,
we can go on.
Yeah, for real. Like I feel like we could go.
But I feel like we still have.
It happens all the time in these podcasts, but we wanted to provide this unfiltered conversation for you, so that maybe you can engage with somebody on it.
Yeah, true.
And you can really, either if you're a father or if you're a son, begin these conversations. Watch this podcast together. Listen to this podcast together and say, what about that? Yeah. Like, what can I do, Dad? Or what can I do for my son that will begin to unload that responsibility? And then how do me and my wife, or how do we decide when is that going to be that moment? In the West, in Kenya, it's laid there for you. You have this opportunity for circumcision and lots of the cultural.
And the other things that you can pick, like people can form different groups, like where like now they
For sure.
integrate men into this space.
Even if the cutting has already happened, it's like that time of taking a month.
Yes.
And you're going to go learn from men. Do that with I
And
literally have a
those
bunch of
times-
friends in the U.S. that we are discussing this formation. Like, what do we do? Essentially, you have to demonstrate a skill, and you have to be able to do X, Y, Z, and you have to be able to orate, like defend something, a point, all these things that it's like as a man you do, and so it doesn't require that you come from a culture where something is established, like you just said.
Yeah, true.
Establish it yourself, and you're not in a bubble. There's other dads, there's other men out there, there's other boys who, even if you're coming from that perspective, who want the same thing.
Yeah, true.
So don't shy away from discussing it. Like, find people and say, hey, let's do something to recognize that we're progressing or that we have progressed, and it's very important. So we appreciate you guys joining us today. We wish we could talk more, but understand season 2 it's coming, and season 2 we're going to have panels, and so those discussions, we might even have to kick up the length.
Yeah, because there's some
you add 4 other voices to this, like this 1 hour thing, it ain't gonna work.
There's like you see, for example, now when I was talking, maybe there's some people feeling like I've misrepresented them. So
for sure.
When we've got a Luo guy here talking about the teeth, and they're speaking from experience,
it'll be far more informative.
fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and
then
the
you've
same
got the
thing. I
Maasai.
mean, you're hearing from one American.
Yeah.
For America.
Imagine.
That comes from a ton of different cultures.
Yes. That would be good.
We all understand that in watching this, that we're speaking in generalities. Okay.
We get some retones on stage. Hear them,
For sure. If you can understand them.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Britons.
Kenyans will understand.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We stopped understanding them when we fought them. But we thank you guys for watching. If we have made mistakes, if we have made errors, if you disagree, we'd love to hear your comments. Obviously, do so politely.
Yeah.
If you want to write something really nasty, feel that freedom. Understand that we also exercise the awesome freedom to just delete it, because we want the interactions to be positive. And I don't mean positive, you always have to like it. I mean positive as in polite and able to be...
press the delete button. Check.
Gone very quickly. You spent all that time writing 2 pages.
The salute is coming.
And I didn't even read it. I read the first sentence and saw, this guy is gross, so delete. But yeah, we appreciate you guys coming. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff. If in season 2 we're going to be having a different setup. It takes money, it takes time, it takes skill, know-how, equipment to make all of that stuff happen. And so we appreciate anything that you guys would like to give to that. We're going to be having a giving site set up that you can say, hey, you know what, I appreciate this conversation. It helped me, or it helped my son, or whatever it is. We'd love to have you guys give to that. If you don't want to, it's fine.
It's okay.
Like, I don't care. We're not upset. It's not why we're doing this to make money. But I do know that we're going to be we're going to have to get some of our own equipment and manage more stuff ourselves this next season. So if you want to give towards that, we'd sure love appreciate it. Look down below for the information on that. Oh, here it comes! Oh, the end of the show.
See you.
Unajua iko hapa. Yes. The salute is there. Thank you so much. God bless you guys.
See you next time.